Welcome to this video exploring the nature, characteristics, objectives, and functions of diplomacy. We will examine the methods through which states conduct peaceful foreign relations.
Today, we are going to begin one of the most important topics in international relations. That is diplomacy. Whenever two countries communicate with each other, negotiate agreements, solve disputes, or build friendly relations, the process they use is called diplomacy. Many students often confuse foreign policy and diplomacy, but they are not the same. A simple way to understand this is foreign policy tells us what a country wants to achieve. For example, India wants to maintain peaceful relations with neighboring countries, promote economic growth, attract foreign investment, and ensure national security. But how will India achieve these goals? Through negotiations, discussions, treaties, international meetings, and ambassadors. All these methods together are called diplomacy. You can say foreign policy is the destination, while diplomacy is the road that takes us there. Historically, diplomacy was very different. Hundreds of years ago, kings and emperors used trusted messengers or envoys to communicate with other kingdoms. Everything was secret. Today, diplomacy has changed completely. Now countries communicate through embassies, high commissions, international organizations, digital platforms, social media, global conferences. This is why we often hear terms like digital diplomacy, public diplomacy, and multilateral diplomacy. Despite these changes, the basic purpose of diplomacy has remained the same. It aims to maintain peace, protect national interests, promote international cooperation. So throughout this lecture, we will understand diplomacy from four perspectives: its nature, its characteristics, its objectives, and its functions. Now, let us understand the nature of diplomacy. The first characteristic is that diplomacy is peaceful. Instead of using military force, countries first try dialogue and negotiations. For example, if two countries have a border dispute, they usually begin with diplomatic talks before considering any aggressive action. A famous example is the Camp David Accords of 1978, where Egypt and Israel signed a peace agreement after long negotiations. This shows that diplomacy can replace conflict with cooperation. The second nature is that diplomacy is dynamic. The world is continuously changing. Earlier, diplomacy mainly dealt with war and territorial disputes. Today, diplomats also discuss climate change, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, space cooperation, global health, energy security, and international trade. Therefore, diplomacy constantly evolves with global developments. The third nature is that diplomacy is continuous. Diplomatic relations never stop. Even if two countries disagree, they usually continue communication through embassies and diplomatic channels. For example, during difficult times, many countries still keep their embassies open because communication helps prevent misunderstandings. This continuous dialogue is one of the strongest features of diplomacy. Now let us discuss four more features of diplomacy. The first is that diplomacy is based on national interest. Every country ultimately works to protect its own interests. These interests include national security, economic development, political stability, territorial integrity, and international prestige. Even while cooperating with other countries, every government keeps its own national interests in mind. Secondly, diplomacy is practical. Diplomats do not expect perfect solutions. Instead, they try to find realistic solutions acceptable to both sides. Negotiation always involves compromise. No country gets everything it wants. Thirdly, diplomacy is flexible. International situations change very quickly. For example, during COVID-19, countries rapidly shifted their diplomatic priorities towards vaccine cooperation and medical assistance. Successful diplomats adjust according to changing situations. Finally, diplomacy is considered both an art and a science. It is an art because diplomats need communication skills, leadership, persuasion, patience, and emotional intelligence. It is also a science because diplomacy follows principles of international law, international organizations, strategic studies, and political science. Therefore, diplomacy combines both practical skills and academic knowledge. Now let us discuss the 6 defining characteristics of diplomacy. The first characteristic is negotiation. Negotiation is the heart of diplomacy. Countries discuss problems instead of fighting. Successful negotiations require patience, preparation, and trust. Second is representation. Diplomats officially represent their country abroad. The ambassador is the highest diplomatic representative. They explain their country's policies and strengthen bilateral relations. Third is communication. Countries constantly exchange information through meetings, conferences, letters, emails, telephone calls, and digital platforms. Good communication prevents misunderstandings. Fourth is confidentiality. Although modern diplomacy is more transparent, many sensitive negotiations remain confidential. This allows leaders to discuss issues honestly, without unnecessary political pressure. Fifth is cooperation. Countries cooperate on climate change, scientific research, education, trade, disaster relief, and public health. Finally, diplomacy is based on mutual respect. Every sovereign country deserves equal respect. International law, non-interference, and mutual trust are essential for stable international relations.
Now let us understand why countries practice diplomacy. Diplomacy has four major objectives. The first is political objectives. Countries want peaceful international relations, protection of sovereignty, strategic partnerships, and greater global influence. Second is economic objectives. Today, economic diplomacy has become extremely important. Countries attract foreign investment, promote exports, encourage tourism, and develop technological cooperation. Third comes security objectives. Every country wants to prevent wars, strengthen defense cooperation, fight terrorism, and improve cybersecurity. Finally, diplomacy also has humanitarian objectives. Governments protect citizens living abroad. They provide emergency assistance during disasters. They promote human rights, education, and humanitarian cooperation. Therefore, diplomacy is not limited to politics alone. It directly affects the economy, security, and welfare of people.
Now we come to one of the most important examination topics, the functions of diplomacy. The first function is representation. Diplomats officially represent their governments in international meetings. Second is negotiation. They negotiate peace treaties, trade agreements, and defense partnerships. Third is information gathering. Diplomats continuously collect political, economic, and social information from the host country. This information helps governments make better foreign policy decisions. Fourth is protection of citizens. Embassies issue passports, provide visas, and help citizens during emergencies. For example, during wars or natural disasters, governments evacuate their citizens through diplomatic missions. Fifth is economic promotion. Diplomats encourage trade, investment, and tourism. They organize business meetings and investment summits. Sixth is conflict resolution. Diplomacy prevents conflicts from becoming wars. Mediation and arbitration are commonly used methods. Finally comes cultural exchange. Countries strengthen friendship through student exchange programs, cultural festivals, sports, tourism, and academic cooperation. These functions make diplomacy an essential part of international relations.
Why is diplomacy more important today than ever before? Because today's global challenges cannot be solved by one country alone. Take the example of climate change. Carbon emissions in one country affect the entire world. Similarly, pandemics, cybercrime, terrorism, and food security require international cooperation. Diplomacy enables countries to work together through international organizations. For example, the United Nations maintains international peace. The WHO coordinates global health. The WTO regulates international trade. The G20 discusses global economic issues. BRICS promotes cooperation among emerging economies. ASEAN strengthens regional cooperation in Southeast Asia. Without diplomacy, these organizations cannot function effectively. Therefore, diplomacy has become an indispensable tool of global governance.
Now let us compare traditional diplomacy with modern diplomacy. Earlier diplomacy was secret. Today, it is much more transparent. Earlier diplomacy mainly involved two countries. Today, multilateral diplomacy has become common through organizations like the UN and G20. Earlier, diplomacy mainly focused on political issues. Today, it also includes trade, climate change, technology, cybersecurity, public health, and sustainable development. Earlier, only governments participated. Today, businesses, NGOs, universities, media, and even citizens influence diplomacy. Finally, communication has changed dramatically. Earlier, messages took weeks or months. Today, world leaders communicate instantly through video conferences, digital platforms, and social media. This transformation has made diplomacy much faster and more inclusive.
Let us quickly revise today's chapter. We learned that diplomacy is the peaceful method through which countries conduct foreign relations. Its nature is peaceful, dynamic, continuous, practical, and flexible. It is both an art and a science. Its major characteristics include negotiation, representation, communication, confidentiality, cooperation, and mutual respect. The objectives of diplomacy are political, economic, security, and humanitarian. Its important functions include negotiation, representation, information gathering, protection of citizens, economic promotion, conflict resolution, and cultural exchange. Finally, diplomacy has become even more important in the modern world because countries must cooperate to solve global problems such as climate change, pandemics, cybersecurity, and terrorism. I hope this lecture has helped you understand the concept of diplomacy in a simple and practical way. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it with your classmates, and subscribe to the channel for more lectures on international relations and political science.